It's Doug again for a little more family history. I'm going to be looking again at the Barmore family um, and more specifically Nathaniel Barmore and his ties with Knickerbocker Ice. So we're going to be in New York, and as growing up, I never would have thought that I had, when you're a little kid, you know the family you know, and you only know what you ask questions about and what they tell you. And so I never would have thought about having relatives who lived in New York or New Jersey or really anywhere on the East Coast. It's like, oh, everybody's in Kentucky, and those are the people I know. And the only people that are out of state are people that moved there from Kentucky. So anyway, to get there, here's my generation, myself and my sisters, and then mom and dad, William Lee, Julia May, and then mom's parents. That's where we're going to go. Wilbur Carl Bewley and Gladys Rosamond Barmore. Barmore is her maiden name. Then her parents are Charles H. and Gladys O. Benson. And then we go back another generation. We have John Barmore and Sarah Jane Huff. Now, I just discovered this in looking at things to kind of study a little bit before I did this video. But you notice on this line, Nathaniel D. And Nathaniel is, I believe, he's the second generation of Barmores that moved to Indiana, Kentucky area. And he's married twice. His first wife is Rowena, Horeen, and they have one child, one son, John Barmore. And that's my two-time great-grandfather, all right? And then he has half-siblings because the second wife is Isabella Brumback, and I found their marriage document, and they were married in Illinois. So I haven't quite pieced all that together. Maybe she was from Illinois, but they met in the area where Nathaniel was living, and then were married in her hometown. So anyway, a little more investigation into that, maybe to get more information. We go back another generation. This is Dennis Marshall Barmore, 1800 to 1870. And he is the first Barmore that moves away from New York or the East Coast, moves to Indiana. And then we get to Nathaniel. Nathaniel is, his dates are 1785 to 1870. And he's in Rockland County, New York, and I've put together a few maps to show where that is. So Rockland County is not very far north of New York City. You can see New York proper down here in Manhattan, Yonkers, New York, and then up the Hudson River in what they call like the Catskill Valley, or the Catskills are up in here, I guess. This is Rockland County right here. You can see the county borderline there and around to the Hudson River. And so this is the area that we're talking about where the Barmores were prior to, or our line anyway, moving to Indiana. So here is Nathaniel's gravesite. And this cemetery is not far from the Hudson River. I don't know if part of it overlooks the river. I have to look at the map again to review exactly where it is, but this is his monument. And this tells you chances are that, this is somebody that had means, right? And have a monument that big. It seems that he was quite the businessman. And I can show you. This is a page from the Barmore Family Bible, and I came across this on Ancestry. This isn't anything that my grandmother showed me or anything. So here we are Nathaniel Barmore was born February 25th, 1780. Okay. And then on down, it's got all these names. Over here, we get to Dennis Marshall, born 1800, in Hartford, Washington County. Okay, so that's our line. Nathaniel Dennis is another Barmore in our line, 1827. All right. So back to kind of Grandpa Nathaniel's business dealings. All right, so it's the 1800s, and people are starting to, on the East Coast, figure out that they can harvest ice to use to keep their food fresh, right? That they can build ice boxes and like ice cellars and put things on ice. And because of the amount of water and clean water in Rockland County, there began to be this ice harvesting business. And they used this lake, Rockland Lake. And you can see it's right off of the Hudson River. In fact, it's part of a Hook Mountain State Park now. And Nathaniel didn't start the business. It was started by two other men. I think it's Felter and Perry. And then I'm scrolling back through this article. Sorry, I switched things. There we go. So here it talks about the pond and 1836, 1831. 1831, Nathaniel Barmore, John Felter, and Peter Gask, sorry, I had the wrong name, started up a new enterprise harvesting ice on the lake. Ice was stored underground, then shipped to NYC in the summer. So they were selling ice to New York City residents and businesses. So in 1836, a company was formed called Barmore, Felter and Company. And they had a dock and ice house built at Slaughter's Landing below Rockland Lake on the Hudson River. Storage facilities were also acquired in Greenwich Village. So then we're on the island, New York City. Then down here, Barmore eventually bought out his partners, and with his brother-in-law, Moses G. Leonard, beat out other competitors who were also harvesting ice from Rockland Lake. Many land disputes were fought. So people were disputing whether, you had right to harvest ice off of the lake or not, and they decided the lake itself was public property. I'm not going to get all the details, just kind of keep this video brief, but the business expands, it booms. They have other locations and other facilities other than Rockland Lake. And then evidently 3 of the big ice companies decided to merge, and then they could fix the price of ice. Imagine that. Okay. So some scandal going on with that. But Nathaniel evidently did pretty well for himself. There's a Wikipedia article about Knickerbocker Ice. Knickerbocker Ice continued. It kind of became that after Barmore was involved. And it ran until 1927, I think is the year I saw. But you can see these drawings of the facility. It's got the whole, here's the thing about the scandals with the fixing of the prices, all that stuff. So pretty cool. And this other article, if you just do a search for Nathaniel Barmore, Knickerbocker Ice, you'll find different resources. Here's another rendering of the plant or facilities. I can't really call it a plant. Storehouses. Here they are harvesting the ice. I kind of wonder if there's not some remnant of the facilities on the bank of the lake. In 2007, they had a Knickerbocker Ice Festival. And what that would look like, I don't know. If they were actually showing how they used to harvest the ice and store it and all that kind of stuff. Might be kind of interesting. But that is what I know about Nathaniel Barmore. Pretty interesting story. Thanks.